we make things. We use our hands, minds, and machines to build, to fix, to improve. We're known as do-it-yourselfers, home improvement fans, fix-it fanatics, inventors. At our core, though, we're all makers. So let's jump in and make something. Well, as you can imagine, I love making things myself, and with a new pickup in my future, I decided why not build my own truck? And that's exactly what I'm going to do today. For my money, one of the most used and most versatile items in my toolbox is the combination square. In fact, I have no trouble coming up with at least 20 things I can do with this remarkable instrument. Today, I'll share my top dozen. When I built out my workshop, I thought carefully about the kinds of things I intended to do here. I did a good bit of planning, deciding how I would design, arrange, and equip the space. Now, I update my pickup every couple of years, so I was thinking, what if I use the same approach in choosing my next truck? I'd start by taking a look at exactly what I wanted to do with my vehicle. Then I'd select the components, options, and accessories best suited to meet my needs. I would, quite literally, build my own truck. As you probably know, I've been driving GMC pickups for many years, and interestingly, GMC's website actually does have a build-your-own-truck tool, so I started there. My truck can be sort of a rolling meeting room, so I wanted a cab large enough to carry 4 adults comfortably. As you can imagine, I also, at times, need to carry heavy loads, so a high-performance suspension package is important to me. I'm often pulling trailers, sometimes for work and occasionally for pleasure, so I need a heavy-duty trailering package. And an adequately sized engine. In this case, I settled on a 6.2-liter V8 with flex fuel capability, which will allow me to use an ethanol-gasoline blend if I choose. I discovered something interesting here. Some GMC models feature an active fuel management system. Under light loads, when only a fraction of the available power is needed, the fuel delivery to 4 of the 8 cylinders is switched off. As soon as the vehicle begins climbing a grade or needs additional power, those cylinders are automatically re-enabled. Now, I drive mostly on paved roads, but there are plenty of times when I leave the pavement behind and make my way over terrain that's rough, sometimes muddy, occasionally pastoral. All-wheel drive, a feature that automatically sends maximum torque to each wheel while preventing a tire from slipping or losing traction, will do the trick for me. Another driving feature that caught my attention was Hill Start Assist. This system prevents the pickup from rolling when trying to pull away on a grade. It holds the truck stationary for 2 seconds after the brake is released, giving me time to apply the throttle. Okay, I'll admit it, I like a truck that looks sharp and has its share of creature comforts. Since my pickup is also a traveling office, an intelligent GPS system was something I had to have. This one not only provides the expected driving directions,
turn left and then bear right at the first street,
but also offers up weather reports, locally and along my route. Right. There you go. As you can imagine, I spend quite a bit of time on the phone. I needed an onboard, voice-activated Bluetooth system that was as hands-free as possible. Call office.
Call.
Office.
Please say yes or no.
Yes.
Calling.
Here in the Northeast where I live, it can get pretty darn cold in the winter. So the idea of an engine block heater to ease cold weather starts and a remote control starting system that's tied to my smartphone were very appealing to me. The app called Remote Link is downloaded from the internet and works in conjunction with the OnStar system. In addition to providing remote starting, it offers other vehicle information like tire pressure and fuel and mileage status. It also allows me to plan a trip, then upload the information to the onboard navigation system. so that driving directions are available as soon as I turn on the ignition.
OnStar turn-by-turn navigation system is active. Your destination is 48 miles.
Backing up and parallel parking a pickup can be a challenge because of the limited visibility behind. When I learned that the GMC had an available rear vision camera, I knew I wanted it. The video display incorporates guiding lines that shift in response to steering wheel movement, showing the path of travel. Combine the rear view camera with ultrasonic parking assist, and squeezing into that tight space just got a whole lot easier. Well, I have indeed built a pickup around my own wants and needs, and like my workshop, I'm going to rely heavily on it to get the job done. Leroy Sterrett held about 100 patents for various inventions. His first was a meat chopping machine that he called the Hasher. Reportedly very popular with housewives, the Hasher sold for $5 and claimed to cut 3 pounds of meat in 3 minutes. In 1878, Leroy Sterrett invented the combination square. Now, since then, the L.S. Sterrett Company has manufactured millions of these. To my way of thinking, this is one of the most versatile measuring tools you can have. Perhaps the most common use of the combination square is to mark a straight line perpendicular to the edge of a board. The tool also makes it simple to draw lines parallel to the edge of a board. Moving the head a set distance will create multiple lines that are spaced an equal distance apart. Using a combination square makes it quick and easy to lay out a rectangle with specific dimensions. Or mark a continuous line around 4 sides of a post or beam for accurate cutting. By replacing the combination square's standard head with a center head, it's possible to quickly and accurately find the center of a circle, or the center of a dowel or rod. Power miter saws are great work and time savers. However, they can go out of calibration, producing crosscuts that are not precisely 90 degrees. The combination square can be used to verify and, if necessary, recalibrate the saw and to check the resulting cut. The same is true for a 45-degree miter, one of the most common angles cut on this saw. The miter side of the combination square head is a precise gauge for checking accuracy of this angle, which is critically important in making frames and cabinets. Bevel cuts on the power miter saw can also be checked using the combination square. Even though most table saws have stops at 90 degrees, these can be inaccurate because of dirt, dust, wear, and incorrect adjustment. Performing a check with a combination square ensures the blade is perfectly perpendicular to the table. To make accurate crosscuts, a table saw miter gauge must be set perpendicular to the blade. Another job for the combination square. The same is true for 45-degree miters made using the table saw miter gauge. One of the jointer's primary tasks is to create smooth, straight edges perfectly perpendicular to the face of a board. The combination square is used as a guide to set the fence and as a gauge to verify that the edge is, in fact, square. When using a router, The combination square allows the bit to be set at precisely the right height. And regardless of how a dado is cut, that same combination square is the perfect tool for measuring the depth of the groove. Now that's just some of the ways that you can use this. When it comes to versatility and accuracy, well, the combination square is a tool you'll always find in my toolbox. Well, the kitchen is the most used room in the house, and I guess you could say that the kitchen cabinet is probably the most used thing in that room. But with time and repeated cleanings, well, they can end up looking pretty shabby. So if your cabinets look something like this and, well, it's not time to replace or reface them yet, then you might want to consider refurbishing them with a combination coating and stain. It's easy to use and inexpensive. While it's possible to refinish cabinets with the doors in place, I don't recommend it. I've always gotten better results by detaching the doors from the cabinets, taking out all the shelves, removing the knobs or handles, and taking off the hinges. Most of the time, when I do a cabinet facelift like this, I find myself updating the hardware anyway. Kitchen cabinets invariably accumulate cooking oil on their surfaces, especially those near the stove. Mineral spirits, found in any hardware store or home center, does a good job of cleaning off that residue. I like to dampen a soft cloth with the solvent and go over the surface 2 or 3 times, turning the cloth as I go. You'll usually be able to see the grime you've picked up. Now I can do a bit of light sanding with fine 220 grit paper. By folding a 1/4 sheet of sandpaper into thirds like this, I can use every bit of it. On flat surfaces, I press down evenly with my fingers and use long, straight strokes, always moving in the direction of the grain to avoid unsightly scratches. To sand moldings and trim, I use individual fingers so the sandpaper will conform to the curved profiles. On a project like this, the purpose of the sanding is to give the existing finish a bit of tooth, just to roughen it a bit so the new finish will be able to grip or bond better. Finally, I remove all surface dust with a clean rag or tack cloth. These cabinets have some really serious wear spots where not only the finish but also the color is gone. A touch-up pen like this can help restore some of this missing color. These come in a variety of wood tones and are used just like a felt marker. I let the color dry for a few seconds, then wipe off the excess and blend in the edges. Now it's time for a quick trip to the home center to pick up the finishing material I want to use for this project. This is a combination stain and polyurethane. It's very common for the pigments in a material like this to settle to the bottom of the can, so I always stir thoroughly and sort of pull the pigments up from the bottom as I go. When properly mixed, the stirring stick should come out clean. Now you want to avoid shaking finishes like this because it introduces air bubbles into the liquid that can end up as pinholes in the surface when the coating dries. I load my brush with finish and begin by coating the details in the panel. Then I move on to the flat surfaces. One thing I always try to keep in mind is that I'm applying both color and top coat. The key is to put down a smooth, even film and not to overbrush. If I want a more intense color, I'm much better off applying a second coat after this one dries than trying to pile on too much material at one time. Now, when it comes to applying a top coat, whether it's varnish, shellac, or polyurethane like this, I always try to use a good quality brush with plenty of fine bristles that are securely attached into the ferrule, because nothing is more annoying, especially with a combination stain and top coat, than having to pick out bristles that have conspicuously displayed themselves in a newly laid down finish. I almost always finish off with long, straight parallel strokes in one direction, a technique painters call striking off. Finally, after letting the finish dry thoroughly, I reinstall the doors with new hinges and put on new knobs. Before and after, and all for only a few dollars. Oh my gosh! You know, I love this rug, but walking on it, well, that can be a dangerous matter, and I'm going to do something about it. You know, a lot of really good-looking rugs don't have a slip-resistant back, and in my book, well, that's just an accident waiting to happen. So here's an easy way to turn a slippery rug into a slip-free rug. I've turned the rug over and am placing the rubber pad on the back. I'm going to mark this just so that it's about 1 inch smaller than the rug itself. Now I'll cut this out with a pair of scissors. Okay, I'll check this for fit. Should be about a 1 inch margin around the edge, more or less. Good. Now I used to just put this down on the floor, the pad and then the carpet on top. But what I found is that the rug actually slips on top of the pad sometimes. So what I started doing was sticking the pad to the rug using this double stick carpet tape. Again, you can find this in your home improvement center, in most hardware stores or carpet stores. Now, once I've got the perimeter done, I like to put a couple of strips in the middle. Some people call this the field. Now I'm going to peel off the protective backing here. I'm going to put the pad on now, just kind of very lightly till I get the position where I want it with that 1 inch margin. Okay, let's try it out. And there we have it. That's how I turn a slippery rug into a slip-free rug. Looking for a dust-free place to store things like dust masks? Well, try this. Slip them into a plastic food storage bag, zip the top, and clip on a binder clip. You can get these in office supply stores. Then just hang them up at a convenient spot. This is also a great idea for things that rust easily, especially if they're in a damp environment.
To view today's projects again, visit ronhazelton.com, where you'll find hundreds of how-to videos available 24/7. Free home improvement videos online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.